Thank you, Dr. Anselme, for agreeing to talk to us today. So this is Uongozi Institute's In Focus interviews. We have this dedicated show where we speak to experts in various sectors, development sectors in the continent. And today we have you here with us, and so thank you once again for accepting to speak to us. So first, let us start with looking at the big picture. Why is agriculture important to Africa? Why are we talking about agriculture?
You see, when you look at the development perspective, in terms of what our country are producing and so on, let me give example of GDP. Agriculture accounts for about about 20% of the GDP, as we're talking now, for the whole continent. And when you go to some specific countries, it can go up to 35% of the GDP, and even sometimes more. Really. So looking at that particular indicator, you can see the role that agriculture is playing in any economy on the continent, even worldwide. And most of the time, when you remove agriculture for any country activities, you will see how the sector can be affected in terms of who are working. Because the agriculture is using about 70% of the people, the workforce of every country. Meaning that when you have 100,000 persons working somewhere, know that 70,000 of them, they are working. Anything that they are doing is agriculture related. So when you stop, let's say any production system, you are affecting all those people, So that's how important is agriculture, when it comes to any active economy, yes.
And then if we now take it a step further, why is trading, now talking to us as African, why is trading between and within African states also important in agriculture?
When you look at the picture of agriculture right now, we blame ourselves the fact that we are having lower productivity, we are not producing enough, we are importing food, but the problem most of the time is not there. The problem is what happened after people do the harvest. So we talk about the post-harvest loss. The post-harvest loss account most of the time for almost 60 to 65%, meaning that if you don't have any way to channel your product, you can lose about 65% of them. This is too much actually, you see. And let me look at the way the trade issue is structured actually. It's an issue of a market, Benin is a country, Nigeria is another country. If Nigeria is producing rice, for example, and Nigeria is not, it's not easy for Nigeria to send the rice to Benin. It's always a big problem. If Benin, want to forget about Nigeria market, I want to take rice from outside, you can see how it can affect not only the economy of Nigeria, it's also affecting the economy of Benin, because you are spending much in bringing from outside. Even though sometimes people talk about competitiveness in terms of the economy of scale, but the country who is importing from far is still losing actually, because it's more about all the transport system around that. You are using boat to bring food from China, you are using airplane to bring food from this country and so on, you see. But if you are able to take it from your neighbor country, it's a lot. That's why this intra-African trade is something that is very important for all. And I'm not saying we are fighting for that. It's something that has to happen for Africa, to take off. And I'm happy all our leaders are very aware of that. They are very cautious about it. So sign the CFTA agreement is something that is, let's say, opportune business environment for all the country. And we have to comply to that. We have to make it happen. And we are fighting for that, yes.
And you pointed already to one challenge. You pointed to the post-harvest loss. What are some of the other critical challenges affecting the agriculture sector?
Okay, the post-harvest loss is one of them, but when you look at the post-harvest loss, you have to look at what is associated with the post-harvest loss. One of them, if you don't have any infrastructure for you to transport your place to where the market is. You see, it's going to affect. So the infrastructure is one of the key components. Even the existence of the market itself, is another point. Like if there is no market, you see, you are going to lose. And the other point is also the availability of logistics that will help you to, let's say, to dry or to store your product. There are some products that are so fragile. Like in 2-3 days, if you don't get proper way to storage, they will get lost. They will get spoiled actually. So you need to find a way to get all those, let's say, minimum level of logistics, basic logistics to your farmers actually. So these are the critical points, that involve the post-harvest loss. So you don't see the post-harvest loss just as something that's independent. It has to link with the access to market. It has to link with the availability of infrastructure. So our country, they need to invest in infrastructure. That's the best way actually to address this post-harvest loss. If the farmer, they have the market, they're not going to lose any fresh produce that they have produced.
Mm-hmm. So that's excellent. So you point to the importance of having markets, the importance of infrastructure, and then the logistics part. So now we have this continental free trade area in place, and it's starting to be rolled out in terms of implementation. So what needs to be in place? Yes, you've already spoken of issues of infrastructure, issues of the logistics, issues of markets. What else needs to be in place for these opportunities to bear fruit?
The CFTA actually is helping Africa to open borders. That's how I can summarize it. Open borders. Okay, you may have a market somewhere, but if the policy, the cross-border policy, doesn't allow you to access that market, it's become difficult. And in most of the cases, that's what's happening, mostly in Africa. Taking your goods from one country just to cross a border, which is in the 100 kilometers, is a headache, for most of the producers. You bring your product, you can stay like 5, 2, 3, even 7, 1 week, at the border, just begging for your product to cross, you see. So what the CFTA is bringing is more about removing those barriers, like soften them in some way. I know it will not be easy because if you see all the logistics, let's say all the technical infrastructure that are put in place for all those borders, many people are linked to that. Most of those people are going to lose their job. Like, let's say we remove borders, people can go anywhere. Is a challenge, So most of the people may be losing. So when it's come to addressing the issue of removing borders, it associates with several issues that the country they are aware of, they are hesitant, but we need to find a softer way, to approach them so that gradually we actually try to solve those problems. Without that, we'll be talking for CFTA for the next 10 years and nothing will happen. Because the difference between what is writing the paper, what you are saying, the speech, with what is happening on the ground, they are so big. The gap is big. And you need to find a way to address what's on the ground. You see? And that's actually where we need to invest in, and it's going to happen. Sure.
So then what would be some of your, or maybe even just 1 or 2 policy recommendations? What needs to be done at the policy level?
Most of the policy instruments that we are putting in place is, we talk about non-tariff barriers that need to be removed, but in a more practical way is actually more about free movement of anything that you have, free movement of person. Like I know someone, for example, in Kenya who is very good in this technology. I want to have the same technology for the farmers in Burkina Faso. I should be having the software to bring him, for him not going to go through all the constraint of paying tax for anything, to come to do his business. So this free move of business, free move of expertise of people, free move also of logistics of any equipment that you have. Actually, those are the critical components we really want to reflect in any instrument that you are developing when it comes to the CFTA. And we have been having several meetings actually that are reflecting on that under the Common African Agro-Park. A Common African Agro-Park is an agro-park that belongs to 2 countries, meaning that you have to, like if it doesn't belong to 2 countries, it's not part of the CAAPs program. To be qualified as a park, it has to be 2 countries, at least 2 countries have to be involved, 2 or more countries. And when it's taken to higher level, like the way African Union is trying to make this happen, it will be a zone that belongs to a region. let's say Eastern African CAAPs zone. So when you create that zone, people who are going there, which status do they need to have? I can go there and work, I can sit there, sell myself there. So it's how to do with people, how to do the legal status. Do we need to have any African passport for people who are going to work in any agro-zone in Africa? If yes, once you get that passport, you are free to go there to invest. You don't invest as a foreigner, you come to invest as national. So how to conceptualize that, all those in the practical, the critical element that can be used, for coming up with the strong instrument. That's what we have been thinking about. And it will take time, yes. And it will take time not only in terms of conceptualizing, because you need to conceptualize, you need to test it. You need to bring a case. And to test that's actually one of the key components. And we have a case of the agro-park between Zambia and Zimbabwe that we are going to work on. When you say test, it's not the business case that we are going to test, because before we select that CAAP, we have done all the business study. We find out this is profitable. Now what we are going to test is how someone from outside can come to invest without facing any barriers. And if you are able to test that one, it works. You will be able to actually disseminate that along the continent. And yeah.
So Doctor, you point to the complexity, as you said. Right now, it's at the higher level where the continental free trade it's on paper, and then now it's trying to be implemented down. You're talking about the parks, trying now to make this tangible on the ground. So who would you say are the main players? Who's needed to make this machinery move and to make it work?
Yes, the main players are countries themselves. Yes, we put CFTA on front, but they are not the one taking decision. They are facilitating the process for them. But if they come to a point where countries have to sign anything that should be agreed for them, they should not have any resistance because of the personal interest. So the big player, I'd say, it is the country themselves, the leader themselves. Yes, CFTA, they have a good role to play to provide technical expertise. That's why they are being created, provide the technical expertise, develop all the instruments. And when the instruments are ready, we actually need to make the country, to agree on them and sign them, in a proper way, actually. So they are the group play, actually, yes.
Okay, so the government.
Government, yes.
But what about the private sector? What role do they play?
Yes, the private sector, actually, they are enjoying the CFTA. They'll be enjoying, actually, the CFTA benefit, actually. Because if we really want to talk about agriculture, people see it as development activity. No, it's the business activities. You see? So to make a business, our country are not, they don't have any system that will make them make business. They are worrying about so many, let's say, politics. Even if you take business to the government, it will fail. Just on the issue of corruption, on the issue of many things that you can imagine. Yeah. But the best way, to make agriculture successful, agriculture as a business, is to bring the private sector. And for the private sector to come in, they need to find a good business environment. So it means like the politician, the government, they need to create those environments for them. So they will only come in where you have finished your deal of creating the good environment. If you don't do that, they will never come. You go to them like, okay, once you finish, tell me I'll come. And I've listened to a lot of interview, not interview, like statement from a private sector leaders. I think Dangote is one of my fans, actually. I listened to him a lot. And he was giving one good example where he was even granted African passport, to do his business. But going to a country, he had to get a visa. And even he still has this problem that he was having before, you see. Meaning that if someone like that who can be involved in business, if you call him at AU right now to come in, he'll not look at you now. He'll wait until you finish all your process, make the business environment ready. Is the business that I'm coming to is profitable? Do I have any trade barrier? Do I have any taxation barrier? If all these are removed, he'll come in properly and invest and make his deal profitable for him and also profitable for the country. And that's what all we want. Yes.
Absolutely. So let's shift gears a little bit. And we heard the conversation inside. We cannot talk about agriculture without talking about climate change and the threat that it poses to agriculture. Is African agriculture, particularly now for us on the continent, is African agriculture more vulnerable than others?
Yes, that's really the big yes. Yes, I'll say super yes, because, 80% of our agriculture are actually relying on smallholder farmers. They are the ones suffering to get the raw product for us, for the industry. And most of them actually are, let's say, they don't have any irrigation system. They actually, let's say, rain-fed agriculture. They're rain-fed farmers. They only wait and pray for the rain to come, and then when the rain comes, now by the time they are like waiting and praying for the rain to come, many things can happen when we talk about climate change. The drought periods can be longer. And when you have a longer drought period, it has so many dynamics that if you are not a researcher, you cannot know. The soil characteristic is involved. The crop actually that we are using during that period actually is involved, because crops, when you say crops doesn't just get water once you get water, no. There's a stage, where, okay, you may need more water at a certain stage, and there's a stage that is very critical. If you miss water, that stage you drop, and I say, well, okay, I'm up now, whenever I get water, I can survive. So when the drought come, if the farmer is not able to manage those stages, he gets stuck. And that's what is affecting most of our farmers, like 80% of farmers. We are so vulnerable because those farmers, they don't have any way, to get the right information. Because it's a matter of getting the right time information, whether I'm going to have a sudden rain that will destroy all my culture, or have a long, long drought, you see. They don't have actually any system that give a kind of focusing system that will tell them, okay, be careful, this is going to happen, for them to know what to do. You go to Europe, you have all this sophisticated focusing system. Africa, we don't have actually. So how do we get there actually? It's a long period. So our agriculture is still vulnerable looking at all those elements. And farmers have been affected a lot. I know a community that I have visited myself, they prepare the land, everything for the rain to come, because they know approximately between this period, the rain will come. The rain has not come all the time. Some of them, the rain has come, and now just they do everything, they spend their money, put the seed, everything, for 1, 2, 3 weeks, and then after the rain disappear, never come again. And this kind of people, how do you think they can survive? It's so difficult. And there's no way any government can say, I'm strong to support them. Even when you say you are going to rely on the bank, there's no way anyone can be strong putting their money there, because the risk is too much. So we have a long way to go. A long way to go is actually strengthening our production system. Okay. Find a way, to actually mainstream in our actually government strategy. A strong way to provide a good system. And when I say system, it's more about go with technology, good technology for people, good advisory services that might not be only on sending them, let's say, focusing information or sending them any advisory information, but also those who are actually trying to grow, the startup, find a way to improve their business environment. They have some people who are, like some small companies, let's say those small, medium companies, they are very good, like good startup, but they lack competence in managing the business, competence in managing the staff, competence in financial management. So, and you need to scan all those stakeholders and see which kind of support you need to bring to each of them, each group actually. And this is something that requires seriousness. So you need to be, if you are a Minister of Agriculture, you have to be very strong, leave out the politics and drive your team to attack. That's the only way you can take off our agriculture. But what's happened most of the time in our country, people are so busy with politics because the demand on them, on our ministers, are very high on so many other things. Use this conference outside, taking them on this, and they look at the focus. Our focus should be on the farmers, should be on the smallholder farm, SMEs. If you lose that focus, we'll be vulnerable for long, actually, and that's what you need to address, actually.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Anselme, for that. And we've now spoken about climate change, which of course we cannot ignore. It's important, and it seems to be here, of course, to stay. But also, we also cannot ignore and talk about what we've just gone through in terms of COVID-19. What lessons did COVID-19 teach us as a continent in relation to the agriculture sector?
Yes, actually, COVID-19, I think everyone has live it in their own way, And there's a big lesson that I learned personally, I learned from my country. I remember when I was staying here in Ghana when it started, I used to buy fish in the shop. You see, I went to the shop market. I said, hey, I need this fish. They said, oh, there's a COVID. I said, what's COVID? Fish? Fish we have seen in Ghana here. He said, no, our fish are coming from Argentina. I said, what? You see, so that's how I know that actually. But I asked the guy, so why are you taking fish from outside where you have a fish here? He said, no, it's easy for him to get the fish that I imported, you see. So now, because of COVID, he had lost his own business. He closed his shop, And I'm sure, as part of his recovery strategy, he will no longer put his whole 100% resource on foreign affairs. He should now find a way to look at how can I get the fish, into myself. And that's how every group of stakeholders, they have learned their own lesson, So the whole continent should think about, I was saying that in the podium there, like if we close, let's imagine that all the borders are closed. There's no flight, there's no thing. Are we going to look at ourselves, not find a way, innovative way to produce ourselves? No. So that lesson is a strong lesson that we should take from COVID. Like we can expect any similar event that can come anytime. We need to think about how to get ready, how to rescan our production system, how to develop our agriculture to make sure that anytime anything comes, we should be able to resist. And that's actually the first lesson that is coming up. And I'm sure it's serving many political leaders. I've been talking a lot with the Commissioner for Agriculture at the AUC. And the worry is, what will be the next pandemic? And how are we going to address that? What are the measures? And he used to tell us as research institution, what are you thinking about for this to not happen again? I don't want any supply system to be disrupted because of COVID. And we are thinking about that. Right. And our thinking is just limited to our brain. But to make this happen, we need our commitment from our government. They need to find a way to take agriculture as part of a big priority, put big budget, And when you talk about money, people of Africa don't have. We have so much money in Africa.
We do.
We have so much money. If you look at the pension bank, the pension funds, yes. You look at all those commercial banks, you look at all those diaspora, they are ready to spend money, but they don't want to put their money somewhere there will be a corruption, any bad governance. What they want, clean political environment, good business case, and they will come in. So let's create those environments for them to invest. When they start investing, we see how agriculture will take off on the continent, and that's what we want. There's one thing that will never break when it comes to business. People are eating every day. Whether you are sick or not, you will be eating. So the cash flow from the business, agricultural business, is something that is not something that can stop anytime. Because people will be eating. They are eating every day. Looking at the cash flow of agriculture business is something that will never stop. It will actually become even growing, actually. So for this to happen, it's just about creating an environment. And creating a good environment is a matter of our state. It's about a commitment. Yes, they have taken a lot of commitment at the highest level. Let's materialize those commitments at the country level, translating that political will into political action that was said today. And that's what we are waiting for. And I'm sure with all these noises, it will happen. Yes, yeah, we are so positive. Yeah.
Wow. So to conclude then, Dr. Anselme, what would then be your big message to us? You've talked about the importance of political will, but how to translate that into political action. But you've also said the importance of agriculture. We all have to eat. But what would be your final, whether it's your food for thought okay, or advice to us as Africans?
Yes. First, let me thank you very much for this platform that you have created. Uongozi, with all the leaders from Tanzania. I think this is a good platform. And this kind of discussion, like this, let's say this big show, should not end here. Let's find a way to channel the outcome of this discussion to our leaders. We have most of our former presidents here. They have power to engage with the current president. Let's find a good mechanism, to help them mainstream any discussion that you're having this kind of platform, to influence our leaders. Anything that you want to do on this continent, only depends on our president. They say, yes, we'll do it, they will do it. So let's find a way actually to reach them with the good message, animate this platform on a regular basis and involve them actually in the way that, we move from the talk to action. And one of the critical points that actually I always emphasize, from our institution sometimes they find themselves in the weak position because of so much interference from our side. So this leadership group should also find a way to tackle that in some manner, actually. You see what I mean? African Union say, we want to do this. And they are struggling to do this. This program, Common African Agro-Parks, is a good ambition that actually they are coming up with. So how to ensure that this thing happen the way they want? And most of the cases, what's happened is about destruction. People will come in, they say we are supporting you, but they are not supporting you. They'll come to disrupt you. None of our partners outside want Africa to develop. Because when we develop, they are not relevant to us anymore. So we need to be aware of that, knowing that we don't need them per se. We need ourselves. Let's develop ourselves. Let's remove ourselves from this stand of being sovereign country, push to be together and take bold action, commit to bold action, push for bold action, and it will happen. And that's the only thing we can do. And I love this platform. If this platform can bring that discussion at this level, make sure that you influence our political leader to come together. There's a way to talk to them, and they are so sensitive sometimes, where their peer come to talk to them. Really. Let them know that actually Africa can only rely on Africans. You see? And with that vision, I think we will take off one day. Yeah.
That's excellent. Africa can only rely on Africans. That's perfect. I think that's the perfect way to end this discussion. So once again, thank you very much, Dr. Anselme, for taking the time. We know that you've had a very busy day with a lot of discussions, a lot of hard questions up there. We saw that. So we're very grateful for taking time to speak to us for this In Focus episode, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to speak to you again. And thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.